So?
So?
Godmother? Philip asked me to marry him.
Poor thing. He'll recover.
My answer was yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
I wasn't really asking.
Nor was I.
What's next? You'll turn him into a goat.
And that was a clip from the new Disney blockbuster Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, and I'm lucky enough to be joined by two of its stars, Elle Fanning and Angelina Jolie. How are you guys?
Very good.
Excellent, excellent. So it's been 5 years since the last movie. I've just seen it, enjoyed it, and for the benefit of those who are about to enjoy it, where do we pick up the story with your characters?
You want to take this?
Sure, okay.
You were 14. Elle was 14 last time.
Yes, I was
Really? You were
14 when we
14?
filmed it. Because people are like, what is 5 years ago? Because the math isn't adding up. But with films like this, it takes a while.
It takes a while.
Like,
so you're
you film
21
it before
now.
it, obviously, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Before it comes out. I was 16 when it came out. Aurora's true age of how she was supposed to be in the first film. But yes, I was 14 when we did the first one. And that film, to me, was such a it was a rebel film too, because it was like, whoa, we turned the fairy tale on its head, and we made these two enemies, Aurora and Maleficent, tale as old as time. They've, been complete enemies, and we made them basically mother and daughter, at the end of the first movie. So we basically pick up 5 years later from that moment. Now they've really truly become a family. Aurora's Queen of the Moors. She's older, has the responsibility, and thinks she's getting married. She has been proposed to by Prince Philip, which does not make Mom happy.
Yeah, and we have this subtitle, Mistress of Evil, but it almost feels like that might be the opinion of certain human characters in the movie rather than
That's right.
What we should all expect of Maleficent.
Well, I think it was interesting because when they said that was going to be the title, I said, well, would people still see me that way after the first movie? Because the first movie, we saw that she wasn't born evil, that she was harmed, and then she became very dark, and then she found herself, and she has these other instincts. And they said, oh, no, they still see her as evil. And I thought, that's so interesting. That really does say something, that it's, what is it about her? And it is something that we explored in the film, the different aspects of people, yes, but women also. We have 3 different strong women in the film, but strong in very different ways and damaged in different ways. And is she evil? I think she's powerful. And when she is cornered, when somebody she loves is threatened, she fights. And that's quite normal for any parent, really. But in some ways, especially for women, it's sometimes seen as dark.
Yeah, I mean, my daughters, who are livid that I've seen the film before they have, both felt that Maleficent was a hero in the first
how sweet.
movie. So they sort of balked at the
What's
at the
nice,
subtitle
isn't
as
it,
well.
that we can take a character, because I think, we've certainly rewritten the fairy tale, because in the first she was. But I think it says something to children that you don't know somebody. They may, on appearance, look very frightening and very different than something you've expected, whether it's somebody of a different culture, a different race. You don't know this person, and you may judge them. And you must get to know them, and you must open your mind, because you don't know where they've come from, and you don't know what they've experienced. And people who are sometimes seen as dark are really damaged people.
That's really interesting, because I read an incredible piece that you've written for Elle, not for this Elle, for the
Secretly,
magazine.
it was for her.
Maybe secretly for Elle. And you were talking about how there's cases throughout history of women who stand up for themselves being defined as wicked or evil, and being a father of 14-year-old, 11-year-old girls. I wanted to cut it out and pin it to their walls. What would you feel is the takeaway that you'd like young people to have from?
Well, I think there are a few things, and for the audiences listening, we tried our best to make an entertaining film, so you can not be looking for a message or following an issue to hopefully enjoy it. But we were aware that we could say something with it, and so yes, there is there's certainly about this question of understanding those who are different and people who are afraid. Michelle's character is very tyrannical, and she's smart when it comes to tactics and strategy and running a castle, but she is simply a leader who is full of ignorance and fear. And because of that, she does anything and anyone who is different from her, she wants to destroy and keep them out and away, and doesn't see the beauty and diversity and strength. And so that's one thing, is we hope that if you get to the end of the film and you're happy that everyone has come together, then somewhere deep inside of you are responding to that side of yourself that knows that there is so much strength in the diversity of the world, that other peoples of other cultures are to be explored, enjoyed, respected. And then also a message which was very important is this: for young girls. You have 2 daughters. I don't know what they're like, but maybe one of them's a little more Maleficent, one of them's a little more Aurora.
They're chalk and cheese.
Are they? One's Aurora, one's Maleficent. There you go.
Perfect.
So I think there is that. Sometimes we have this idea of women and we say, well, what's a strong woman? And we have this idea these days where a strong woman must be able to fight and be tough and a certain kind of aggressive nature. And that may be true for the Maleficents of the world, that there's a fighter in us that defines us a bit. But we can also be the mother. But the Auroras are so strong in their femininity, in their softness, in their kindness. And that, for all those little girls that love the princess, that want to be married and have babies, they are very, very strong, and they should know that. And they don't need to
hide their softness or vulnerability, because often women, I think, to be perceived as, strong, then it's like, oh gosh, I can't be weak at all. I have to hide my weakness, and I have to know everything, and I can't say I don't know, and I can't, and that's, that's just something that we put on women, the society, we do. And I think it's beautiful that Aurora gets to be her true nature, and that is strong as well. That is strong. So.
3 different types of strength and 3 very different types of women. It's kind of refreshing to see when I think about how many movies I've seen where there's one woman and she is a plot device, essentially, or a love interest, In terms of Aurora, obviously you'd already done it once before, but I'd love to know a bit about the pressure, if any, you feel about playing someone who's so iconic, as a character.
I did feel a responsibility, definitely, even from coming into the first film. I felt I was a fan of, my little me would be freaking out, and I am freaking out getting that phone call about the first movie, the first time. So I felt a huge responsibility, especially because young girls would come up to me and call me Aurora after seeing that first film. And I never had a movie make such an impact in that way on people knowing who I was like that. And so coming back 5 years later, I wanted to make an Aurora that I could feel proud of to show those girls. Just for myself.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Some pretty dark themes running through this one. I mean, this concept of there's like this human world and the world of the Moors, and there is a clash that potentially could see one of them or even both of them wiped out. Was there a conscious decision behind creating something like that, regardless of the ages of the children that are going to see this film?
I think children are up against so much in the world today, and they know more than, unfortunately, they've been exposed to more. They're living with more. They're suffering these things themselves around the world. So they have to talk about these things, and they have to know. And I mean, look at this as if the film, we spoke to some young children when Michelle and I were in Rome, and they said this film is also about the environment, protecting the environment. And look at the young children around the world who are fighting and speaking up and concerned about the environment.
It's their number one issue.
It's there. So is it whether or not we're ready to talk to them? They're ready to talk, and they're demanding it. So
it's obviously a highly visual, highly stylized, fantastical world that the characters exist within. It was at Pinewood, right? You guys shot. How much did you guys see? I mean, what did you step into on set?
They do actually bring in a lot of greens and...
a lot of the stages were built. The Moors set, that I was on was all made of real flowers and real grass, and it was pretty huge.
Did you know that Sam has hay fever?
No.
Yes, he told me. He's like, the sets
Now?
always drove him crazy.
Oh, the sets, because I was like,
This is Dioval we're talking about here,
yes,
right? Okay.
yeah, because they were
Sam
all
Riley.
the pollen around. Yeah, they had
That's
to water
funny.
them, keep it a certain temperature in the studio, or it would be bad. So, but then of course there's green screen around that to expand it, and all the fairies are not there. So you
But you
feel
really
a bit
fell in the lake.
insane.
Yeah,
Like,
when
just
you're talking
looking
to
at
random.
imaginary
Sometimes you're
friends.
talking to sticks and men in blue suits. And
Yeah. Fantastic. And what do we see you guys in next? Who's in what next?
Oh man, I
don't
wish we
know
were
what's
together
out next.
again
I
and
know.
something next.
Well,
We're
maybe
both
another
filming here in
Maleficent.
London.
Okay.
Yeah, at the moment. So
We'll keep it mysterious.
exactly. Yeah.
Guys, thanks so much for talking to us.
thank you very much.
Thanks.